Healthcare in the prison system. That's what I'm going to talk about on this episode, people. So, I know you all like listening to the prison story, so I'll just talk to you a little bit about my experiences whilst I was in prison with healthcare and what I think of it. The healthcare in the prison system is an absolute joke, absolute farce. I know everyone out here think the healthcare out here is bad when you go to the doctors and stuff, but in prison, when you're in there suffering with your mental health or suffering with any other type of illness, you're lucky, or you're unlucky if you've got something bad with you. But I was going to say you're lucky to be able to even get seen by a doctor, even if it's an emergency, within a matter of weeks. Yeah, when I went back in this time on me recall, my head was that far up me arse I couldn't fucking sleep. So I decided to try and get something off the doctors to help us sleep, just to get us in a bit of a pattern. So obviously my anxiety and that was really bad as well, so I put in to see the doctors. And I went down to see the nurses, because what happens is in prison on a morning, the nurses are on the wing on a morning, dinner time and a night time, dishing out meds. Obviously, because when people are on controlled meds, they've got to get them at the right time of day, on a morning or a night time or even dinner time. Obviously the lads that are on the methadone and that, they need to be given it on a morning first thing. So I went down to see the nurse just to try and get to see the doctors a little bit quicker, just so I could verbally put me point across, asking that I needed help, I needed to see the doctors, I needed an appointment. So the mouth of abuse that you get off the nurses was absolutely appalling. I remember I was asking and she turned round and she snapped and she started, I says, "Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?" I says, "You're a nurse, right? You're supposed to have a duty of care. That's what nurses out here, you meet nurses in the hospitals, whatever, out here, absolutely lovely, aren't they? You meet the nurses in prison, they're like fucking mini Hitlers, absolute dogs." But then again, I can't label them all like that, because I have come across some nice ones that do genuinely care. But it's the likes of these ones that let it down, and the majority of them are like this. And I know the reasons why they're like that, because they deal with fucking smackheads on a daily basis, and they think you're just trying to blag them to get drugs off them, prescription drugs, so they can get high. But when you get genuine, serious people that are wanting help, and then you try and have a bit chat with the nurse, and she turns around like a little pit bull, you're like, whoa, hang on a second, I'm asking for your fucking help, you dog. I've come here for help, and you're talking to us like this. Calm yourself down. Fucking hell. So that was like fucking some of the situations with the nurses in there. And as for anything seriously wrong with you, when I was in Frankland, in the high security prison, there was a few people actually died by not getting to the hospital in time, or not getting the right treatment. The first one I'll mention is a good friend of mine, Mark Deere. May he rest in peace, the poor lad. He was in there, a lovely lad from over Wallsend way, Newcastle. He was in there serving his sentence he was an armed robber. And I remember the story. Obviously I was on the wing with him, he was on the same wing as me. I remember he was going on a visit to see his girlfriend, and in his ear hole, at the top of his ear just there, he had what looked like a blackhead. And his girlfriend at the time was trying to squeeze it on the visit and all that, and some of the lads on the wing were saying there's something not right with that, mind, you need to get down to the doctors. Looks like it could be something serious. So he goes down to the doctors. Took him 4 or 5 weeks to even get the appointment. He got down to the doctors. They kept fobbing him off, it's nothing. But some of the lads on the wing were saying, listen, it's fucking, even some of the officers were saying, this needs sorted out. It looks like he's never had it before. Little black mole, it was getting bigger, it was discoloured. Anyways, it wasn't until he got moved to Loudham Grange, which is a private prison. Got moved down there when he was progressing through the system, and they sent him straight to the hospital there, because obviously the new down there, obviously with it being a private nick, it's got different healthcare stuff, not the same. So they've sent him straight to the hospital. They've had him straight in for an operation. He's had his whole ear cut off. It was cancer in his lung. But they cut his whole ear off. And they said that could have been prevented if they'd gotten him there in time. But because they'd left it that long, cutting his ear off wasn't enough. His ear was gone. He was disfigured. He had by the end, he had big cuts down here where they tried to cut it out because it actually spread into his head, spread into his skull. So he had numerous operations getting it cut out. I remember when I got released, then he got released. I met up with him afterwards. And when I went and seen him, it was just a horrible sight. He was full of different medication. I'm forgetting what you call it. Chemotherapy medication and stuff. And he was just a shadow of his former self. His face was all sunk in. His head, it was all where he had operations to cut things out. And he died not long after. The poor fucker. Horrible, horrible situation that. But that's just some of the things in Frankland. There was another lad, I think he was called Jimmy. He was from Sunderland. It was just before I got there. But the lads on the wing tell us all about it. I think he was a 2-strike lifer. He got cancer. Got him took to hospital, but they were giving him chemotherapy. And they actually gave him too much chemo, and the chemotherapy killed him. Didn't get the right treatment when he was in there. They still used to bring him back on a night time, chuck him in his pad by his cell and just leave him in there on the wing to rot, dying in his pad by his cell, lonely. It was fucking horrendous. Should have been down the hospital wing getting took care of, you know what I mean? But that's the healthcare in prison. If you think you've got it bad out here, you want to see what it's like in there. And if you want to see if you got toothache, you want to see the dentist or anything, you're waiting for months. Or sometimes people are getting released before they've even seen them. Or when you do get took down to see the dentist, got toothache, get on the bench, bang, pull your teeth out. That's all they used to do in there. That's all they were good for. Pure cowboys. But I'll tell you another story. It's similar. It's not to do with healthcare, but it's to do with something happened when I was in Frankland. It was a lad called Andy Shack. A lot of you will probably know him from Liverpool. He's a notorious gangster. He's well known. He was in for murder, doing a 25 wreck, I think. He's in Cat C and that now, as far as I know. But tough fucker as well, Andy. He could have a good old scrap him. But anyone from down Liverpool way, or who's been in the high securities, will know who Andy Shack is. The first time I seen Andy in Franklin was in the gym. And he took his watch off. It was like a gold watch. It was Rolex, and it was it looked like bling. You know what I mean? It was good looking watch. And I remember he took it off and just put it down on the window. And I think he said to one of the lads carrying on, "Much he didn't take that watch." And one of the lads was telling us he was 30 grand watch, walking about the wings with a 30 grand Rolex. But Andy. Getting on about the healthcare, when I was in that same gym a few months after, Andy was in with his pals training away. I'm training away in the corner, and he was doing, because obviously he's a strong bloke as well, he was doing behind neck press on the Smith machine. So the behind neck press, for the people that don't know, is when you're sitting down like this, seated down, you've got the weights behind your neck and you're pushing the weight up like that. He was doing 120k, I think it was, behind neck press. And as he's lifted the bar up like that to hook it back on, it hasn't hooked on properly. And this arm's let go like that, and that arm's still been trapped, so the bar has just dropped. And all you heard was that noise. Snap. His arm had went that far back, it just snapped clean in half from there. I turned around and I heard the noise. It sounded like a fence post snapping. And he just went like that. Oh, he was moaning on like that, as you can imagine. Broken arm. So, but at the time, Andy was Cat A high risk, which is double Cat A. So they rang down for healthcare. Obviously, they came up with a wheelchair, put him in the wheelchair, and they wheeled him down. Obviously, he's like that, sitting in the wheelchair, because you're not going to want to walk anywhere when your arm's snapped clean and half from there. But because he's double Cat A high risk, took him down to the healthcare. And what has to happen when you're Cat A high risk? If you're going anywhere on the outside appointments, you've got to get helicopter escort because of that high profile. So he's got the armed response and he's got the helicopter, but to get all of this put in place, it's took 10 hours. So he sat down the healthcare for 10 hours with a snapped arm from there, and it took 10 hours for them to get him to hospital. I remember later on, we're all looking out the windows in the pads and we could see the helicopter, and the lads were saying that's Andy getting escorted to the hospital. But 10 hours to get to the hospital, man. Imagine what the pain we must have been in all that time. But yeah, that's just some of the instances with the healthcare in the prison system and the way that the staff, like the healthcare staff, talk you and treat you. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. But that's all for that one, people. If you do like it, if you do like me content, remember to like and subscribe, because the more subscribers and likes I get, the more people will notice this channel. But take care, people, and enjoy the rest of your day.